having been asked to co-teach this evening, or for you it's morning or whatever time it is, with Marsha. And you can say differently, Marsha, but I think we had a great time over the last few months getting to know each other and the richness of that topic of dana. And something which is very alive in me, of course, as a Buddhist monk, I live completely off from the generosity of others. And, you know, often at the end of our practice sessions, we talk about dana. And I often ask, why? The Buddha didn't do that. He started with the topic of dana. Why is that? This is a great part of our exploration today. And I really want to also share, sometimes when I hear dana talks, sometimes very skillful, you know, sometimes it has a flavor of, you know, now give, you know, you have received something, now give. But hardly ever the highest form of dana is mentioned, what the Buddha pointed to. What do you think is that? The highest form of dana, of giving, sharing. The Buddha seemed to be clear on that. He pointed out that's Dhamma dana. The gift of the practice to yourself, but also when you share it with others. And that's what all of us do who are gathered today in this virtual meditation room. When we practice, and we will touch on this in our practice, I assume, I hope. And with that, you know, the highest form of dana, of giving, of sharing, is the practice itself. With that, I give the word to Anita, in case you feel moved to express that kind of in other ways. She will point or say a few words how to do that and what our intentions.
And it will be Nancy who will speak to that today. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, great.
So for today's practice, Bhante and Marsha have asked that any dana be directed to the Sangha Teachers Fund. So Anita and I thought we would say a little bit about the Sangha Teachers Fund. As you all know, that Insight Dialogue is offered in the tradition of freely giving of dana. And the Guiding Sangha and the Teachers Council realized that we had a need for supporting our facilitators and teachers who are making difficult choices in their personal lives in order to support the community by offering practice. So the Sangha Teachers Fund was born as a way to offer direct monetary support to the teaching community who are committed to offering practice. It is our hope that distributions from this fund offer those generously guiding practice some ease as they receive generosity from those of us who are receiving the teachings. So I'm going to put into the chat box now the link that goes that you can use if you're moved to contribute to the Sangha Teachers Fund. So that's in your chat box now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I pass on to Marsha, please.
Hello, dear friends. So lovely to see you today. My heart is filled with gratitude at the generosity of all of the people who make this possible. And I'm going to notice an intention right now that Bhante and I spoke about this morning. I'm going to attempt to speak slowly. I am not, that is not the habit. So Bhante and I worked together for several months. And I think I learned a lot, and it was also a great joy to get to know Bhante better. I'm also very grateful to many of the people here that are in these wonderful Zoom boxes, and in particular today for Nancy and Anita for supporting this offering, and Bhante to supporting our offering together. Bhante, do you want to say a little bit about how we work together?
I just want to acknowledge, Marsha, your generosity. You know, you're putting notes about what we have planned, and also I want to mention Phyllis in our session a few weeks
Ah,
ago.
thank you. Thank you.
Our topic, the richness of generosity, and we made a joke. You know, oh, we could offer all the sessions until May if there's no other people volunteering because the richness of this topic. You know, it was really a delight, and I think we learned so much from each other. Very much appreciate. Thank you.
So today's topic will be how and why is dana a foundational practice? And we'll start with a guided meditation. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat, not too comfortable, not a sleepy seat, but something that will support you through sitting for 10 or 15 minutes with alertness and with ease. Noticing maybe the generosity of checking in with the body and seeing what would be supportive for the body right now. And making any adjustments that would bring comfort, bring ease, and bring alertness. Dropping the shoulders, putting the feet flat on the floor. And we pause together. Inviting mindful awareness. And I will invite you right now to bring to mind any acts of generosity that led you to be present here right now. Maybe a person or people who have supported your practice, supported your offerings. Maybe somebody taking the time to watch the dog or the kitty so there can be practice. Pausing. Maybe noticing how pausing is a generous act to yourself. A slowing. An opening to mindfulness, awareness. Allowing the space for that. And inviting the guideline relax. Softening, easing the body. Noticing where tension may be held, the jaw, the shoulders, the lower back, and inviting a softening and easing to those parts of the body. Noticing this time taken to notice where the body might be tense, where tension might be held, maybe as a generous act toward yourself. And just inviting a softening. And then receiving and allowing whatever is present or arising and passing in the heart and the mind and the body. Maybe noticing that this is a generous act to yourself. Noticing a spaciousness of receiving and allowing whatever is right now. Sleepiness, happiness, curiosity, tension. It's just like this. Maybe noticing the ease and suffering of accepting what is, receiving what is, allowing what is. And we'll just sit silently for a couple of minutes. And now an invitation to slowly open the eyes, opening to the external light, sound, and the wonderful, generous meditation partners who have chosen to use their time by coming here today to practice. We can't do this by ourselves. So I invite you to just maybe put your eyes on each and every person, just going through our boxes today, noticing what arises as you gaze at each person. Thank you for coming today. It's a joy to see you all. And Bhante.
Still might look each window from person to person. And there might be a natural inclination to send metta, kindness, good wishes. And you might notice different resonances, when you look at a person you know or people you don't know. So from the center, more or less, on the meditation base of Insight Dialogue, we move now, or have moved already, to the more relational base. And of course, what we try to have in mind is the Dhamma base, the wisdom base. And those of us who come regularly to these Sunday Sanghas, we might be used to a certain format, style, how these teachings or these 1.5 hours are spent. So I invite you to engage open-mindedly in that guideline, attune to emergence, because you will be invited, we will be invited to share now a few words or a sentence or two. So very briefly, perhaps we have time in the 10, 12 minutes or so to hear each voice. What comes up to you, either from this guided meditation now or in your life, when you are asked what comes up for you when you think about that topic? Dana comes first in the teachings, in the practice. And please don't limit the word dana to giving. It's a whole range of what the Buddha called chaga, generosity, how we have received it or how we have shared it. How does this resonate right now in your body, mind? And, say a few words or 1 or 2 sentences. Whoever wants to speak, please speak into the group, unmute, and then speak into the group, and then you mute again. What comes up when you hear this topic you're invited to speak to? From emergent, what's present in your body, mind right now? Dana, generosity, chaga comes first. Do we get a sense of how rich, how vast, how deep, what a huge scope this topic of dana is? Maybe we get a little sense why the Buddha chose to start often teaching with that wonderful practice and the many layers, the many ways of practicing that, receiving, offering, sharing. What a deep wisdom is that. Because of the flow of what we were planning to do in this practice session today, even though it might feel a bit early to do this, but it might be a wonderful opportunity to be generous to ourselves, to have a few minutes to care for the body. Maybe some stretch, maybe a drink of water, maybe going to the toilet, whatever. And I would ask you to please be back 7 minutes past the hour. That's nearly 5 minutes. And really use that time for practice. Pause, relax, open. See you soon.
Lovely to see you, all of you arriving. And just take a moment to notice any generous act that happened in the last 5-6 minutes. I certainly feel like I was generous to the body, taking care of some needed things. Feels generous to me. Brings ease. So at this time, I will offer a short talk. And I'll start with something that was said during our group practice. Dana protects self and others. And one of my favorite quotes from the Buddha, from the text, is how keeping the precepts gives immeasurable freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression to all beings, to immeasurable beings. These acts of generosity, of holding the precepts. And then I'll start with, continue. So the question I was holding in mind is, how and why is Dana said to be a foundational practice? And when I start to prepare for an offering on the Dharma, I recall what I've heard from teachers. I go to the internet and do searches. I look at Buddhist publications. I look at the Buddhist texts or suttas for information. I talk to my Dharma friends. And throughout, as the Buddha recommended in the sutta, 2 kinds of thought, I frequently think and ponder upon what I am learning. In this case, generosity, and through that, renunciation. Because I would like these things, according to the sutta, to become the inclination of my mind. And then I note what does arise as I do that. Does generosity become the inclination of my mind? More about that later. So I recalled many things that teachers have said about why or how dana is a foundational practice. For instance, that dana is a foundation for the practice of sila or morality, and that sila is the foundation for further practice in the Dharma. That the Buddha taught dana as one of the first teachings to those who did not know the Buddhist teachings or the Buddhist way, the Dharma, and then went on to teach things like the Four Ennobling Truths or impermanence and dependent origination. Also, some teachers have talked about witnessing in countries where Buddhism is practiced that mothers help their children put food into the bowls of monastics to teach them generosity. So those seemed like foundational practices to me. From many directions, I've heard and read and that the Buddha set up this practice of dana with the monastic community and the lay people to preserve, and so the teachings would continue to preserve the teachings so that there was an interdependence, or one sutta that Jan and I looked at, a mutual dependence where the community provides food, shelter, clothing, medicine, which allows monastics to live a spiritual life and to teach. So that is a very foundational practice, and indeed, we still have the teachings 2,600 years later. So something seems to be going right. And in the same way, the Insight Dialogue community has agreed that the teachings are to be offered on a dana basis. So we are part of the larger Buddhist community offering and preserving the teachers going into the future, preserving those teachings. Dana is also listed first in the list that I have seen, at least, as the 10 paramis, the 10 noble qualities, or the things that need to be cultivated and perfected by those aspiring to gain enlightenment. In the Buddhist text called the Jataka Tales, these qualities are illustrated through story, mostly by the Buddha telling stories to his disciples. I'm auditing a course right now on Buddhism and friendship at a local university. And the teacher has us reading Jataka tales, which I've been delighted to get to know because I haven't really done too much investigation. And in many of the Jataka stories, the Buddha is shown to be one who is supremely generous. For example, giving eyes to a blind person, his eyes, giving his body to a hungry mother tiger so she will not eat her cubs and therefore reap bad karma, and giving away half of his wealth to a friend in need. perfecting the act of giving while practicing towards awakening. So this was the Buddha to be, the Bodhisattva, many Bodhisattvas in many lives. So generosity is one of the foundational qualities there. In the sutta and the connected discourses, it said, generosity is reported to be the best means of binding friends. So if you want to have a good friend, try it out. Try generosity out. In an article I read by Sayadaw U Pandita, Theravadan monk, about dana, he talked about the 3 systematic trainings which counteract greed, hatred, and delusion. Dana, or generosity, is one of those. If it is practiced, Sayadaw goes on to say, in a systematic way, without expectation of return, and without attachment to what's given, it frees us from greedy self-interest. So it overcomes greed. If, moreover, we give with loving kindness, dana frees the mind from anger, counteracting hatred. And when dana is also imbued with compassion, it counteracts cruelty. The more we practice dana, the less we will be inclined to harmful deeds motivated by greed, anger, and delusion. Therefore, part of the foundation for morality. And I'm just going to check the time. Oh, so far, so good. And there was, dana is talked about all over the suttas. And I'm just going to note a couple, talking about how I saw it as foundational. So if a mendicant thinks, I'm very generous, it said that that mendicant finds inspiration in the meaning and the teaching. I'd like to hope that that's happening right now for me, because next is joy. And I noticed joy connected with the teaching. And the Buddha goes on to say that joy is connected with the skillful and is a prerequisite, in other words, foundation, of the mind for developing a mind free of enmity and ill will. That's the Middle Discourses 99. From the Numerical and Connected Discourses. When a noble disciple recollects generosity, in particular their generosity, their mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred, or delusion. The mind is simply straight, based on generosity. And further, a mendicant whose mind is straight gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains joy connected with the Dhamma. There's that joy again. When a mendicant is joyful, the unarisen enlightenment factor of rapture arises. So connected to the enlightenment factors. For one with a rapturous mind, the body becomes tranquil. When the tranquil in body, there's pleasure. For one feeling pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated and leads to dwelling in balance amid an unbalanced population, to dwelling unafflicted amid afflicted populations, and to entering the stream of the Dharma. There are many suttas that point to generosity being the foundation for a good, fortunate rebirth. And the last idea from the suttas I will note. In the Sutta Nipata, in addition to the four foundations and many other things actually, it is suggested that mindfulness be pointed at generosity, because that overcomes attachment to this world and supports crossing over and transcending. So as I practiced very purposefully with this over the past couple months, it was amazing, actually. It was hard not to, you know how nothing's supposed to be clung to? I had a good time with this, keeping generosity in mind. And I'll just give one example. I went to pick up my car at the people who were fixing my car. And I came in, and the person who was going to check me out was on the phone. And I noticed right away this hit of impatience. You know, why are they on the phone when I need to check out? And then, oh, okay, Donna, bring it to mind. What will happen? And I started listening to what this person was saying on the phone and how patient and focused they were on that person's car troubles. And my heart just softened. And then I noticed when he turned to me, oh, see? His attention was now on me and my car troubles. And I felt the generosity. There were many, many, many other times, but that happens to be my favorite at the moment. So now you will get a chance to practice. Bhante, do you want to say anything before we go into practice?
Yes, I invite us to pause the richness which you offer from the sutras, and we all know that's not all the Buddha mentioned. And before Marsha will invite us into the triads to contemplate, I just want to invite you to connect what you have heard to your own practice or experience of how you receive practice, the joy. All of us here gathered, we were deeply touched in one way or the other by insight dialogue, this relation of powerful practice. Remember times, you know, when you were really, wow, this is amazing. You know, how contemplation touches us, the practice partner, maybe something which we share ourselves, or when you do offer practice to other people and they are touched by the practice, how does that give rise to joy and the qualities Marsha was talking about, referring to the suttas? A lot more would be to say, but we want to get into the triad practice, so I put back the word to Marsha.
Thank you, Bhante. So as there's going to be triads, 3 people in a breakout room, and we'll have about 4 minutes for separate speaker, separate listener for each person, and then some open dialogue. So when you get into the rooms, choose who will speak first, second, and third. And the first speaker invited to bring to mind generous acts you have done or you have witnessed by others, maybe in insight dialogue practice itself, as Bhante suggested, and pause. Hold those thoughts in the mind. Attune to what emerges as you do this, what is arising in the body, heart, and mind. Maybe asking the question, do you see these acts as foundational to your practice? Listener, you're invited to hold thoughts of generosity while you are attempting to listen deeply. What do you notice? Are there any questions? Okay, I don't see any hands. So I will bring this bell up and Nancy will send us into breakout rooms, remembering the pause, attuning to emergence. And I'm going to ring the bell. Enjoy your practice.
Missing, but welcome back. One of the questions I often heard when we were offering practice working as a team was the question, what serves best? We have about 10 minutes to go until the end of our practice time. How would you spend that time? The joy before, when we had to listen to each other, then the triad practice after some reflections offered by Marsha and me. And now it's time for the harvest, the fruit. You're invited to speak again. Be brief, that many voices can be heard for the next 8 minutes or so, 7-8 minutes. How was that for you? Any insights, any challenges? How was your practice? Thank you, friends, for your generosity in practicing, sharing the practice, supporting your friends' practice. And one of the most powerful ways of practicing generosity is what the Buddha called the 4 immeasurables. Metta, kindness, friendliness, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, joy with others and joy in yourself, and equanimity, upekkha, even-mindedness. Allow me to chant these 4 words in a mantra. I do 3 rounds. You can join in, second or third round, but please don't unmute your microphone, because that would sound not so nice. After my chanting, I would invite Marsha to ring the bell, and I want to invite you to say 3 sentences, which I tell you now. Then, Metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, metta, karuna, mudita, upekha. Thanks again for the generous support by all the organizers, the Zoom host, dear Marsha, and I invite us all to unmute the microphones and speak 3 sentences. May there be peace.
May there be
Peace. May you share